Oh man, it appears my dream of a Lions Chiefs week 1 game is dead.
You are Locked On Lions, your daily Detroit Lions podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
And a happy President's Day, everybody. It's a Monday, February 20th, and a Tuesday, February 21st. It's Locked On Lions on the Locked On Podcast Network. Matt Dery with you. Thank you for listening. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for making us your first listen, checking us out wherever you get your podcast. Coming up on the show today, I'm down in the dumps. I'll be honest. I had a dream. I wanted to see something come to fruition. I wanted to see something happen in week 1. And apparently it's not happening. I'll explain momentarily here on the program today. Also, Jared Goff, big Jared Goff discussion today. Every ranking has him high. Every list has him high. People like Jared Goff. It's a Jared Goff love fest. And now there's another quarterback that wants a lot of money. That's not as good as Jared Goff. And it's very, very interesting. I think we're not realizing the kind of bargain that we have here in Detroit with our quarterback. We'll get into that coming up momentarily on the show. And also, the Lions standing in the NFC North is looking better and better with each passing day. We'll talk about that coming up on the show as well today, right here on Locked On Lions. And we are proudly today brought to you by our friends at Ultimate Football GM. Ever dreamed of becoming an NFL general manager, managing your football franchise? If so, then this game is definitely for you. To download the game, just visit ultimate-gm.com or look it up on the app stores. Our listeners get a 100% free boost to their franchise when using the promo code LOCKEDON in all caps in the game. Follow us on Twitter at Dery Speaks, Dery Speaks, at Locked On Lions on Twitter, the Matt Dery Facebook fan page, and also shout out. What's up to everybody watching on the Locked On Lions YouTube channel. It's a Monday edition of the show. We thank you for listening and checking us out. All right. I said this a couple of weeks ago, and I was very excited about it, and I was very hopeful. The Kansas City Chiefs won the Super Bowl. Hence, thus, they will be hosting week 1, Thursday night, whatever that date is in September, the first game of the NFL season. And the Chiefs on their schedule are playing the Bengals at home. They're playing the Eagles at home. And they're playing the Bills at home. All on their home schedule next season, Kansas City is. Also on their home schedule at Arrowhead Stadium, your Detroit Lions. So I was thinking, forget the Bills and a rematch of the playoffs. Forget the Bengals and a rematch of the back-to-back years in the AFC Championship game. Forget the Eagles and a rematch of the Super Bowl. No. I wanted Lions at Chiefs, week 1, Thursday Night Football. Let's do it. I was so excited. Dan Campbell and the Lions, they're hot. Your team, folks, people are talking about them nationally. Picking them to win the division next year. We haven't even gotten to free agency next month. We haven't even gotten to the draft at the end of April. No. People are wanting them some Detroit Lions. Just eating it up. The Lions are like, people are eating up the Lions. They love the coverage of the team. They got, good personalities. Amon-Ra St. Brown doing his own podcast. Jamal Williams, Aiden Hutchinson's at the Super Bowl. All of these things. Dan Campbell. And I thought from an optics perspective that this would be a very good move by the NFL to put the Lions on TV, on primetime. Give them the primetime game. They didn't have this past year until they were flexed in week 18, a week before the season was going to be over, and put on Sunday Night Football. And all our Lions did was go into Green Bay and whoop that ass. They did. Embarrassed the Packers. It's great. And I was saying, let's push for this. Let's push the league to get Lions Chiefs at Arrowhead first game of the year. And now it sounds like my dream, my goal, my vision is dead. This weekend, in his weekly Sunday Boston Globe NFL column, Ben Volin, longtime Patriots and NFL writer in Boston, wrote the following, quote, per a Lions official, the team believes they'll play the Kansas City Chiefs in Germany this season. Boo. Yes, the Chiefs are losing a home game to play a game in Germany. And according to Ben Volin of the Boston Globe, the Lions will be the opponent. Now, if you recall years ago, the Lions played the Chiefs in England and got smoked. I was really hoping. I wanted to see that game happen, but it's probably going to be Chiefs Bengals or Chiefs Bills, and it will not be the Lions. So I'm surprised at this because the Lions haven't played in Kansas City in seems like years now, and they missed the last time they were supposed to via the cycle because they played overseas. So apparently they're playing overseas again. Now I know Amon-Ra St. Brown has some German ties. I think it's his mother. So maybe that'll be the hook. But it sounds like the Lions are going to be going overseas to Germany next year to play the Chiefs, ending my hope and aspirations of seeing the Lions playing Kansas City in week 1. So there you go. There is that. It sucks, but it's there. One other note before I get to my Jared Goff discussion. I was on the radio this morning in Cleveland. As some of you know, I fill in on 92.3 The Fan in Cleveland. And I was doing some prep for the show talking about Browns free agency. Yes, the Lions want to keep John Cominsky. You have to. He played really well this year along that defensive line, both as a edge rusher, but also occasionally on the inside. I would think that the Lions, one of their priorities is to keep Cominsky. But I was doing some digging, and the Browns are in desperate need for defensive linemen. Like, they've got no interior linemen, and they want to be adding some edge rushers and are looking for versatility along that defensive line. Watch Cleveland as a destination possibility for John Cominsky. I hope it doesn't happen. Want him to stay with Detroit. Maybe he will stay in Detroit. I think that he's a priority for them. But keep an eye on Cleveland spending a little bit more money on John Cominsky. He's exactly what they need. Versatile, big, can play inside, can play outside, and they're desperate. And they're $13 million over the cap right now. Now, they can restructure Deshaun Watson's contract, Myles Garrett's contract, a couple other people's contracts, Amari Cooper, and get way under the cap after that. But if they can't get Javon Hargrave, Deron Payne, somebody like that, who I don't think the Lions can afford either, and I don't see the Lions splashing for those players, keep an eye on Cominsky to Cleveland. I hope it doesn't happen. I'm not predicting anything. I'm just saying that's somebody that has been connected to the Browns as a possible candidate to go to Cleveland. The Lions aren't the only team that needs D linemen and D tackles. So do the Browns. All right, the Lions have a bargain, and I'll explain why in their quarterback, Jared Goff. We will do that coming up next. First, though, I must tell you, have to tell you, about Ultimate Football GM. You've heard me talk about this mobile game app, and I can tell you how much fun we had competing this past year with the fellow Locked On NFL host. A shout out to Chris Carter, who hosts the Locked On Steelers show. He was the Locked On NFL champion for Ultimate Football GM. Well, now it's your turn to compete, and you can download this, get this rolling right here, right now. Ultimate Football GM is about you running your own franchise, hiring coaches and coordinators, trading players, navigating your franchise through free agency, through the draft, all with the ups and downs of the season, and it's a lot of fun. So you do this in this realistic and challenging game world. Ultimate Football GM is completely free and playable offline. Are these free? Machu Picchu. Play on the go as you want to, when you want to. Locked On Lions listeners get a 100% free boost to your franchise when you use the promo code LOCKEDON. Got to do that in all caps. LOCKEDON in the game store. That's Locked On in all caps, so make sure you check it out today. Download the game by visiting ultimate-gm.com or look it up on the app stores. That's ultimate-gm.com. Ultimate Football GM. Start your dynasty today. All right, here's a quick sidebar here before I talk about Jared Goff. Football was back this past weekend. The XFL returned. Folks, I gave it about 5 minutes. I tried. And I know that maybe I'll watch more later on this spring. Maybe I'll check out the USFL, which I think will be better, actually. And there's going to be games played at Ford Field with the Michigan Panthers, which I think is pretty cool. But the XFL was back. I back The Rock. I love Dwayne Johnson. I'm rooting for this to work. But what I found watching these games where the offenses were so bad because the offensive line play is really horrible. And these quarterbacks have no time to throw. None at all. Like there was 18-15 finals. I saw one team, the Guardians, scored 12 points. They've got to get offensive line play fixed in the XFL. I know people want their fix. I know people want their gambling fix. I know people want their football fix. But man, oh my goodness. The XFL's got some work to do as far as offensive line play goes. Have to fix it. I'm hoping it does well, but it didn't really quench my thirst for football when I saw that. So maybe you'd disagree. Hit me up on Twitter or on the comments here on YouTube if you watch the XFL. But I thought it was a little bit rough. I saw Ben DiNucci out there quarterbacking for one of the teams, the Seattle team, Sea Dragons or whatever. Remember him from the preseason with the Cowboys? Guy couldn't complete a pass. You know? So there's that with the XFL. All right. Jared Goff. I was reading the NFL.com quarterback index ratings the other day at NFL.com, written by, if I could get his name correct, Mark Sessler, ranking all 68 starting quarterbacks from the NFL season. Now, last week we told you that Colin Cowherd, in his herd hierarchy of quarterbacks, if I could speak, had Jared Goff number 10 on his list. He had Mahomes, I don't remember the order, but like Mahomes, Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts, Stafford, Lamar Jackson, Aaron Rodgers, Joe Burrow, Trevor Lawrence, Justin Herbert, and number 10, he had Jared Goff. I believe Lamar Jackson was 9, Aaron Rodgers was 8, and Matt Stafford was 7. And I didn't really have an issue with that list. As far as the NFL hierarchy for quarterbacks and ranking them all from the NFL Quarterback Index at NFL.com by Mark Sessler, he's got Mahomes, Hurts, Burrow, Allen, top 5 with Justin Herbert at 5. Trevor Lawrence at 6, Tua Tagovailoa at 7, which is interesting, and Jared Goff at number 8 for the Lions. Last year at this time, Jared Goff was number 23. He moved up from 23 to 8. How about that? 15 spots. This year, 17 games, 29 touchdowns, only 7 interceptions. Yes, he had 7 fumbles, but a lot of those were in the first half of the year. And Sessler writes, quote, if I told you in August we'd have Lawrence, Tua, Goff, and Geno as top 10 passers, it would be fair to assume a devastating earth event had swallowed half the NFL. Goff was a candidate for a sturdy campaign behind a rough and tumble line that planned to pound people on the ground. Still, nobody expected him to torch defenses for 29 touchdowns against just 7 picks. That included a 9-game pick-free streak to close the year, leaving Lions management to all but anoint the Rams cast-off as their guy going forward. How about Jared Goff at number 8? That is pretty cool. So it got me to thinking a little bit about this Lions quarterback situation. And the news that came out this morning that Daniel Jones of the New York Giants has changed agents and is looking for a big payday to remain in New York. All signs point to the Giants keeping Daniel Jones around. Daniel Jones reportedly is going to ask the Giants for $45 million a year. Let me say that again. Daniel Jones is asking the Giants for a reported $45 million a year. Daniel Jones on this list ranked 18, 10 slots behind Jared Goff. Goff had 29-7. Jones this year had 17 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. Also had 7 fumbles. Brian Daboll did wonders with Daniel Jones this year. The Giants played well. Their offensive line got better as the season wore on. Saquon Barkley had a big year. Don't know if Saquon's going to be back with them. Daniel Jones didn't have the weapons that Jared Goff had either. I like Bellinger, the tight end. Some of their receivers aren't bad, but toward the end of the year, Daniel Jones was throwing to guys off the street. Isaiah Hodgins and others. But $45 million a year for Daniel Jones? Better runner. Mike Kafka, their offensive coordinator, did a great job of utilizing Daniel Jones in the RPO game, something the Lions do not do because Jared Goff can't do that. And it got me to thinking, like, we've got ourselves a bargain quarterback here in Detroit with Jared Goff. So I looked it up. Let's say Daniel Jones gets $40 million, $45 million from the Giants. I don't think he's going to, but you never know. Jared Goff's all-around salary for this season, if you add in cap, if you add in base, incentives, all these things, it blurts out a number. Jared Goff this year will make $25 million for the Lions this coming season. And next season, 2024, he's a $26 million a year quarterback. How about that? That's a bargain. Deshaun Watson's making over $40 million a year. He's 28th on this list. Didn't even sniff the Colin Cowherd top 10. So while people want to talk about, should the Lions draft a quarterback? What about a quarterback for the Lions? It's not happening. Not when you got Jared Goff on a very manageable contract. His dead cap hit this past year was murder. It was like $40 million, so they couldn't get rid of him last year. But now let's say they wanted to, and they're not going to. It would have only cost the team $10 million based on dead cap. But a $25, $26 million a year quarterback in Jared Goff that won 9 games for you, that was durable and dependable. Didn't get to the playoffs like Daniel Jones. Didn't win a playoff game like Daniel Jones. But what a bargain. Crazy. All right, I got one more item on this and a look around the NFC North. We'll do that next. I still can't get over the fact that Daniel Jones wants $45 million. I'm well aware, too, that, like, Kirk Cousins was the NFL's highest paid quarterback for, like, months when he was making over $30 million a year. I get that Deshaun Watson got $230 million guaranteed by the Browns and is making over $40 million a year. And all he did this year was be a huge distraction, get suspended, right, for the first 11 games of the year, then came back for the last 6 games with the Browns and threw 7 touchdowns, got intercepted 6 times, and didn't show much. Now, I think Deshaun Watson will get back to his form this season with a full year and practice and everything else. He was rusty, too. But still, Jared Goff has performed well and at a high level for the Lions. And is only making $25 million. All these other guys, Daniel Jones wants $45. But Daniel Jones could say, Deshaun Watson's getting $40. I went to the playoffs. I won a playoff game. The Giants might just have to pay him that. Final thing, Aaron Rodgers, according to Bob McGinn, who covers the Packers, and he's a longtime writer in Green Bay. I think it might be for the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel. I don't remember. Bob, I apologize. Bob McGinn wrote this weekend that the Packers are sick of Aaron Rodgers and his antics. They're tired of him, and they want him gone. No matter if he comes out of the darkness retreat and says he wants to leave. Let's say he comes out of the retreat and says he wants to stay. It sounds like the Packers are going to get rid of him. He's owed $50 million this season. 50. Half or double Jared Goff's salary. I was just thinking about the division. An unproven Jordan Love, Justin Fields, Hall of Fields, who complained this week that the Bears need a dome, and the Vikings and Kirk Cousins, who's going into the last year of his deal. The Lions are like stress-free, got their quarterback, got their coach. These other teams all have big questions and big clouds hanging over them. That is a good sign for this team moving forward in this division. Very good sign. All right, there's your Monday edition of Locked On Lions right here on the Locked On Podcast Network. We are back again tomorrow.